Andy, Paul Pogba was on the back of every single newspaper this morning talking about how disrespectful the players were to the fans and to the jersey and to Manchester United in that performance at the weekend. It's a bit of a rallying cry from him, and obviously it's good to see that he is coming out and owning a bit of the performance at the weekend. What's your take on what the expectation is around Man United tomorrow?
Well, Manchester United should go out and try and win the game. Whether that leads to Liverpool winning the league or not should be a side issue. United need to pick themselves up off the floor after that horrendous defeat at Goodison on Sunday. Paul Pogba came out, he's a senior player. He's supposed to be the most talented player at the club. And he did take ownership of it. It's a shame he couldn't do it on the pitch on Sunday, like all of his teammates who underperformed. Not for the first time. They've won 2 out of the last 8 games. It's nowhere near good enough for Manchester United. So the expectation isn't just about tomorrow, it's where Manchester United should be, and they shouldn't be 6th in the league. But this is now the 6th season where the club have failed to mount a title challenge, let alone win the challenge. And the worry now is that it becomes a 7th season, because the signs which were so positive in the first 3 months under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer have dissipated, and the mood among fans is one of worry, of concern. They hear of a sporting director being employed. They're talking about summer signings. But there's a real element of Groundhog Day with all this. We've been hearing the same things for 6 or 7 years now. Now, sport is cyclical. Teams win and teams lose. They have good runs, they have bad runs. And for some United fans, it's difficult to take because there was so much success under Sir Alex Ferguson. And it's slightly ironic that Liverpool and Manchester City, the club's two biggest rivals, certainly Liverpool are looking so good at the moment. So it's a tough time for Manchester United fans, and that defeat on Sunday, I was in the ground, and it's the worst I've seen them play all season, because even when they lost at Brighton in August or West Ham in October, they at least had 10, 15-minute spells where they looked okay. There wasn't any of that at Goodison on Sunday, and it's just not good enough. And I spoke to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer after the game. I said, how do you get out of this slump? And he said, well, we've got City on Wednesday. That's the ideal chance for us to do so. And the talk's right. Am I convinced that Manchester United are going to do it on Wednesday? Not really.
Yeah, I can see why the fans would be concerned. What are they most concerned about? The fact that they think the Solskjaer decision, the appointment was too fast, that the squad is so weak? What is the prime locus of the concern at the moment?
You're hearing lots of Harry Hindsights coming out now saying he should never have been appointed as manager. I can't recall anyone saying it on the 6th of March after the win in Paris. So there's lots of people who have got no qualifications whatsoever in professional football making extremely strong judgments. But then that's what fans do, and they're entitled to their opinion, and they pay good money. And I, for one, said that he deserved to get the job, and I took until March to say that. And he'd had 19 games, and he'd had a fantastic run, and I still would like him to succeed now. But of course, the counter-argument to that is, well, where's his body of work? Worked in Norway, worked at Cardiff, where it didn't work out. The fans are concerned basically because they don't like the team losing football matches. Winning games papers over everything else. The minute that stops happening, people look to find fault. They say they don't like the players' attitude. Where's the players' spirit? I don't like the players as people. When they start winning games, it just goes into reverse, and the pendulum swings quite wildly, especially on social media, which is not reflective of real life at all, certainly not reflective of the mood you see at the matches. But at Goodison on Sunday, there was real concern that United lost 4-0. Been hammered 4-0. In those 8 games since that game in Paris, since Ole Gunnar got the job, they've scored 6 goals. The attackers have stopped scoring. The defenders have conceded 17 goals. You can handle losing to Barcelona because Barcelona are a much better team than Manchester United. But twice against Wolves, being outplayed 3 times against Wolves, is that really Manchester United's level now? Is 6 an accurate barometer? Even though Ole Gunnar has got the team much closer to 5th, and because everyone else keeps losing, United still might finish in the top 4. And the club is structured in terms of their wages to play Champions League football, in terms of the sponsorship that they bring in. But I'm partly thinking maybe the Europa League is better for Manchester United next season, because this current team is not close to having the quality to do any damage and win the Champions League.
Yeah, can I just move on to the Mike Phelan issue, because he obviously is on secondment at the moment from the Central Coast Mariners in Australia, where he is their sporting director. It seems like that wouldn't be the best preparation to become the sporting director at Manchester United, that actually the link with Edwin van der Sar and his involvement at Ajax is a far more relevant profile in terms of the experience that you want of somebody who's going to be responsible for the day-to-day running of the football operations at a club the size of Manchester United. What's your take on this Mike Phelan story? Is it a flyer or is it a realistic possibility at the minute?
It's the former. I don't think it's going to happen. I've not heard it from any reliable source. And I know Mike is a good man. He's a good coach. I don't think he's going to be Manchester United sporting director. Edwin van der Sar, yeah. He lives in Amsterdam. He's happy living in the country where he's from. He's in charge of this brilliant young Ajax team. Why would he leave that? Why would he leave it to go to Manchester? Money? Does he need money? You know, there's other factors here. These players and former players and directors, they're humans with families. Maybe their families are settled in the countries where they're from. The Solskjaers were certainly settled in Norway. But Mike is a good man, but I don't think, and I'm pretty certain that he won't become Manchester United sporting director.
Okay, that is interesting, because it did seem like it would be a fairly rushed decision for such a key role, considering he wasn't part of the conversation 3 months ago. Now he's in the club day to day. They're like, oh yeah, okay, you can have a role here with us. But are there any other names that you've heard linked with that role? Because it does seem like that's the next key appointment for Manchester United here.
Well, the name Paul Mitchell was put out there. He'd worked well at Tottenham. I think he's a Mancunian. He's done well at Red Bull Leipzig. I understand that story was not coming at all from Manchester United, so I'd discount that name as well.
Okay.
I know for a fact that some of the best people, some of the best sporting directors have availed themselves to Manchester United and received a polite thanks but no thanks. So when you hear that, and I'm on about the very best, when you hear that, you'd like to think that the club have got everything in hand with regard to that appointment, if they're going to make that appointment. And I've consistently been told that they are going to make that appointment. It was an appointment that Jose Mourinho didn't like the idea of. And I'm not sure that a lot of managers would like the idea of, because it's diluting their power. But whether they do it or not, I think is very important, because the football structure at the club leaves a lot of questions to be asked, because in the post-Ferguson era, and even in the Fergie era, because signing footballers is not an exact science by any stretch, the failure rate of transfers has been too high. They're paying too much money for underperforming players. If Manchester United had the 6th biggest wage bill in football, you can understand maybe that's why they're 6th. But no, they've got the 2nd highest wage bill in world football, not just in England. They've got the biggest one in England. So it's not unreasonable, given the history of the club, the size of the club, the financial muscle of the club, that fans expect much, much better than what they're seeing.
Andy, you've spoken before about how the contracts at Manchester United are heavily weighted in favour of qualification for the Champions League. So over the next 2 or 3 weeks, the players will have the opportunity to earn massive amounts of money, and everybody is motivated by their own motivations, but certainly your salary is the type of thing that we know professional footballers are motivated by. So it's not beyond the bounds of possibility they can dig themselves out of the hole they're in. Like, it wouldn't be the most remarkable story of all time if they were to play well all of a sudden with the quality that some of those players have, would it?
You have reason in everything you say, but they're not playing well. They're playing terribly. Even when they won the 2 games in this 8-game run against Watford and West Ham, did they deserve to win those games? I was at both of them. I don't think they did. They didn't play well, but they did win them. And money is clearly a motivationary factor with a lot of professional footballers. Is it 100%? You'd like to think not. And if it was 0%, then they'd all be playing for the local village or town club. And if they've got ambitions and they end up at Manchester United, one of the top clubs in the world, they will see their contracts significantly reduced if United are not playing Champions League football next year. They'll have to get by with that. They don't deserve their full contracts to be paid if they're not finished in the top four, because given the level of talent at that club and the names and the squad that's there and the times that they have done very well this year, and that run under Solskjaer was fantastic, going away to Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea, winning Paris. Of course, United got outplayed in Paris, but they got the win. And if they don't get into the top four, I think that they've underperformed. They've not done the job that they've been asked to do, and I don't think it's unreasonable to see the wages cut.
It's fair enough. Andy, do you hold out any hope for the game against City tomorrow night?
I do, because I'm an optimist. Maybe I'm an idiot as well. But I was also in Paris and Turin when Manchester United got those incredible results. And football can be so unpredictable and strange. Clearly, City are clear favourites. But they're also playing away at Manchester United. It's the bigger, more successful, better supported club in the city. And City's team have got excellence throughout. Guardiola is probably the best manager in the world. And I've got really good mates who are City fans who followed their team for decades, home and away. And they got hammered by United fans for just the glorious, consistent failure of their team. But they're very, very good football fans. How ironic now that the tables have been fully turned. I hope United win. I hope they win 6-1. Get revenge for that game in 2011.
Are you concerned though that they're like the form graphs are so stratospherically opposite at the moment that there is an opportunity here for Manchester City to come and have a signature performance and a signature result?
Yeah, of course. They're a better team. The league table doesn't lie. The 20 points more or less ahead of Manchester United. They're clearly far, far better. They need to win, because if they don't, that's likely to lead to Liverpool winning the league. And it's an unfortunate position for Manchester United, because they don't want either of those sides to win the league. But United have got themselves in this position. They should have been closer in the title race. They weren't they weren't. And City have got the privilege and the pressure, because there's a lot of pressure. And I'm excited. I'll go to the game, and I'll probably, when it kicks off, I'll probably think for a few minutes Manchester United can win this, but maybe my heart will be ruling my head there, and then I'll click into journalist mode and be objective and write what I see. And when I've watched City this season, I saw them destroy Chelsea a few months ago. They were so good. And Bernardo Silva, for example, fine player, and one that had been recruited and scouted to fit in with a system which Manchester City have got, an intelligent system. And people hadn't really heard of Bernardo Silva when he came, apart from people who watch a lot of European football. That doesn't matter. He's fitted into a team which has been very, very successful, although they're not going to win the quadruple this year.
Andy, good stuff. Thanks a million.
Thank you.